Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Max with BuzzTox here, and I'm back with another Game of Thrones news video. In these videos, I go on Watches on the Wall, and I give you my thoughts and opinions on the latest news to break. Before we get started, I just want to issue a quick spoiler warning to everyone out there, because I'm going to be talking about some new set photos and featurettes that HBO has dropped, and I'm going to be comparing them to set leaks and plot leaks that we've gotten in the past. But before we get started, I just want to talk about some BuzzTox news. This week, all of you can look forward to a Jon Snow prediction video. I've been really fleshing it out and going episode by episode to tell you what I think will happen to Jon Snow. It's been a lot of fun because he's my favorite character in the whole show, and it will be a lot like my Bran Stark and my Sam Tarly predictions video. Please check that in the description below. But without further ado, let's get on with the news. We got a huge batch of Game of Thrones photos that are behind the scenes as well as professionally taken photos, which kind of hint at Season 7. And what we get are a lot of photos teasing Episode 1 and Episode 2. Pictures have been released from Daenerys arriving at Dragonstone. We see her getting off the shore as well as walking up the stairs until she gets into her throne room. And while Daenerys is settling in her throne room, we're getting images of Jaime and Cersei planning their attack and their strategy in the Red Keep. It was seen in the trailer, they actually built out a map on the floor of the Red Keep. And in another image, it shows that Jaime's actually a bit frustrated. I'm not sure why. But what's interesting about this shot is that he actually has Widow's Wail, Joffrey's sword. So we know that Jaime Lannister's actually going to be getting Joffrey's sword very soon in the show. And Cersei might be the one to give it to him. But then that takes us to Winterfell, and we get a lot of different shots. And we get some really good hints on the conference that they're having in the main room at Winterfell. We see Tormund, and he's representing the wildlings. And we get a shot of Lyanna Mormont, and she looks kind of upset and annoyed. And I think this really has to do with the politics in Winterfell. And what's going to be interesting about these politics is that Sansa and Jon are going to have different points of view. And what I believe, the huge issue is going to focus on her. And looking at this shot, she just looks like an extra, but this is actually most likely Aelys Karstark. In the past, this actress was actually leaked to play Sansa Stark's double, but it turns out that she's her own character, and news came out that she's actually going to be playing a more significant character. And this picture confirms that she is a separate character and she is a part of the council, and I believe that this is Aelys Karstark. And the reason that has a lot of significance is because the Starks and the Karstarks have had a very poisonous history in the Game of Thrones show. Robb killed Rickard Karstark, and then his brother ended up serving Ramsay Bolton. And the conflict has to do with Sansa wanting to give their lands to new people who support the Starks' claim because they were betrayed by the Karstarks, whereas Jon is preaching forgiveness and wants to move on from the whole scenario because he doesn't want to blame them for the actions of their relatives. We also get a shot of Jon and Davos leaving Winterfell, and this is a big moment in the show, and it's been confirmed to be Episode 2. And we also get some behind the scenes looks at Winterfell, and what's interesting about this shot is that we actually see Brienne and Pod. But if you look up closely to them, they're both holding their swords. So I don't know if they've just arrived at Winterfell or they're out training in the grounds of Winterfell. I'm not sure. But then we also get a close-up look at Pod, and I believe that this is from the same shot. We see him holding his sword, and he's standing in his typical squire attire. Then we get a look at the Brotherhood Without Banners, and it actually expands on an image we've seen earlier. We've seen the Hound, who looks pissed off and cold, heading north, but then next to him is actually Beric Dondarrion. So we get a couple shots of Beric Dondarrion, which is fantastic because on the set, he was never to be seen. People only saw Thoros of Myr. But what's great about this shot is that they're in intense snow. So we know for a fact that they're not in the Riverlands, because if you refer to this photo that they dropped of Arya Stark, she's clearly in greenery and she's making her way north. So we know that the Hound, Beric Dondarrion, Thoros of Myr, and the whole Brotherhood Without Banners are moving north. And in this shot, we're probably seeing them approaching on Winterfell, or in the north. But then we get a really in-depth look at Sam that we haven't really seen yet. And we see him with all these books, and he's obviously studying at the Citadel. We even see Gilly reading a book, which is surprising because she could have a role in helping Sam make a huge discovery. But the most interesting shot of Sam is that we see him kind of in a protection suit. He's wearing gloves and a fully covered outfit, and he has blood on it. Now, I am convinced that this is Jorah's blood. Sam is actually covering himself because at the moment he is dealing with Jorah. And in the trailer, we see Jorah's hand and it is all mangled and destroyed. And that's not how grayscale usually works. So I think that Sam has actually been tearing apart the scales on Jorah as samples to try and figure out how to cure him. But that takes us to the two featurettes that were released by HBO. And the first one focuses in on location. And what's great about this is that we do get some sneak peeks over the wall. And some of the cast and crew have talked about Iceland and how it's been used in Game of Thrones for so long to film over the wall. And they've been talking about how they're so happy to return. And we get a lot of interesting shots of the huge ice landscape, really confirming that there's going to be an event that happens over the wall. And we have seen that in the trailer. We get a lot of shots of the crew on set, and what that crew is actually Jon Snow, Tormund, Beric Dondarrion, Thorosymr, the Hound, Jorah, and Gendry. And we'll see them with the crew of individuals going north of the wall to try and capture a white. This has been confirmed. But we get to see this crew behind the scenes. We also get to see a shot of a cave, an ice cave. And this proves something in the plot leak that wasn't confirmed before. That Jon, Davos, Jorah, and Gendry are actually going to meet the Hound, Beric Dondarrion, Thorosymr, and Tormund in an ice cave where they're sheltering from the storm. And then from there they go and pursue the White Walkers. We also get a shot of mountains in the north. And I think that shot is taken right from the group of individuals running from something in the trailer. And moving away from the north, we get a shot of Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who plays Jaime Lannister. And he's talking about the beauty of the set. And where he is, he's actually at the High Garden set. We've seen a lot of set pictures earlier confirming that it is a giant battle between the Lannisters and Daenerys' army. And we've seen that in the trailer with Daenerys riding her dragon. And what's great about this set is that there's actually water nearby. And it's a big open landscape with High Garden in the background. And they're going to utilize all of these places during this battle. We're going to see Daenerys burning hundreds of people. It's been confirmed that 75 people have been set on fire in filming this scene. Daenerys is going to create a huge field of fire. There's going to be a giant fight between the Unsullied Dothraki against the Lannisters. And that water is actually going to be used as an escape route for Jaime Lannister because Bronn saves him. We see this in the trailer as two individuals fall in the water and a shot of dragonfire flies over them. And speaking of Bronn, we get the actor who plays him, Jeremy Flynn, discussing, well, the sets and how beautiful they are, but he is actually in the Dragon Pit, which is an event that's going to take place in the last episode of Game of Thrones Season 7 where all the major characters come together to discuss terms. And it's interesting that Bronn's here because I'm guessing that he's going to have a very significant role in this Dragon Pit scene. Bronn has always been the intermediary between Jaime and Tyrion. And right now, the relationship between Jaime and Tyrion is going to be heavily strained. Because at this point, Jaime and Bronn would have been attacked by Daenerys and almost killed. And Tyrion has joined the enemy in their eyes. I think it makes Bronn seem really significant in this scene because we see Jeremy Flynn discussing the beautiful sets at the Dragon Pit, as well as there's been concept art, with him specifically being drawn in it. And that takes us to the next featurette, and that really focuses in on special effects. We don't really get any major teases, but we do get to see the VFX department work on the ship battle, which is going to be a significant fight that takes place in episode 2. We also get another sneak peek at the High Garden battle. We also get shots of all the pyrotechnics in High Garden, but one of the biggest things we pull from this is we actually see Emilia Clarke, who plays Daenerys Targaryen, on a green screen background riding kind of a dragon thing. And this is how they shoot all of the dragon riding scenes. And what's so great about that is that we're never going to be getting a set leak of Daenerys riding a dragon, because it is done in a studio on a green screen and added in post. So this really speaks to the amount that we don't know about this season coming up. I want to give a shout out to a commenter down below who made a suggestion. I'm sorry I don't know your name, but you know who you are. You said that the interesting picture about Jon Snow that I made a video on is that there is a crane in the background. And that could represent maybe Jon riding a dragon. And what's great about these dragon riding scenes is that we don't know. So there could potentially be many Jon Snow dragon riding scenes that we don't know about. And it would make sense because we've seen on the set that he's gotten attached to one of the dragons, presumably Rhaegal. So it'd be really interesting if he got to fly Rhaegal before he left to go over the wall to capture a white. But that is it for me, everybody. Please let me know in the comment section down below what you think of these photos and the featurettes. Please leave a like, comment down below, and share this video as much as you can. And please check out my predictions videos on Bran and Sam, as well as my reasoning on why Bran is the three-eyed raven. I have a lot more coming, so you guys can look forward to that. But until then, I'll see you guys later.